My name's Lynn, and I've lived in Pinewood Estates, a cookie-cutter suburban neighborhood, for 3 years. It's the kind of place where every house looks like it was stamped from the same mold. But I've always tried to add a little personality to my corner lot. Every September, I celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. A Vietnamese tradition close to my heart. I'd string up colorful paper lanterns, red, gold, and blue, across my front yard, their soft glow lighting up the night. Neighbors loved it. Kids would stop by to admire the lanterns, and I'd hand out mooncakes while chatting about the festival's meaning, family unity, and gratitude. For a few nights, my yard felt like a little piece of home. Enter Karen Baxter, the HOA president and self-appointed guardian of Pinewood's aesthetic integrity. Karen was a walking stereotype. Bleached blonde bob, perpetually clutched clipboard, and a glare that could curdle milk. She'd cruise the neighborhood in her gleaming black SUV, issuing citations for minor infractions like untrimmed hedges or excessive holiday lights. My neighbor Jamal once got a $100 fine for parking his car 2 inches over his driveway line. "She's a control freak," Jamal warned me. "Don't give her an excuse. I didn't think my lanterns would be a problem. They were temporary, tasteful, and a nod to my culture." But one crisp September morning, I found a neon green notice taped to my mailbox: "Remove unauthorized decorations immediately. Violation of HOA Code 12D. No unapproved yard ornaments." My heart sank. It wasn't just about lanterns. It felt like an attack on who I was. I called Karen to explain. "Miss Baxter, these lanterns are part of a cultural festival. They're only up for a week." Her response was ice cold. "Rules don't bend for culture. Miss Nguyen, they're tacky and lower property values. Take them down by tomorrow or you'll be fined $300. I was stunned. "Tacky? My lanterns," I tried to argue, but she hung up. I took the lanterns down that night, feeling defeated, but a spark of defiance flickered inside me. The next day, things got worse. Karen showed up at my door with a smug grin, holding a new citation. "I noticed your lanterns are still visible in your garage," she said. "That's a storage violation. Another $200. I was floored. She'd peeked through my garage window while I was at work. It was invasive, creepy, and downright unhinged. I paid the fine to avoid escalation, but I was fuming. Karen wasn't just enforcing rules, she was targeting me. The neighborhood started whispering. Jamal told me Karen had complained at the last HOA meeting about foreign decorations ruining Pinewood's traditional look. Another neighbor, Maria, said Karen had once fined her for a Dia de los Muertos altar in her yard. It was clear Karen didn't just hate my lanterns. She had a problem with anything that didn't fit her narrow vision of suburbia. But the real shock came a few nights later. I woke up at 2 a.m. to a strange noise outside. Grabbing my phone, I crept to the front window and saw a figure in a hoodie spray painting my driveway. My lanterns, which I'd stored neatly in the garage, were strewn across the lawn, slashed to ribbons. The paint on the driveway spelled out, "Follow the rules." My stomach churned. I called the police, but the vandal was gone, and my security camera hadn't caught a clear face. The cops took a report, but I knew Karen was involved. The timing, the message, it was too personal. She'd crossed from petty tyrant to outright menace. I wasn't going to let Karen win. I spent days studying the HOA bylaws, a mind-numbing 50-page tome. Code 12D banned unapproved yard decorations, but there was no rule against community events or temporary gatherings, as long as they followed noise and safety guidelines. An idea hit me. If Karen hated my lanterns, I'd show her what real community spirit looked like. I'd throw a multicultural festival in my yard, celebrating every culture in Pinewood, and I'd make sure it was so compliant. She couldn't touch it. I started planning. I reached out to neighbors: Jamal, who's Jamaican; Maria, who's Mexican; Aisha, who's Pakistani; and Wei, who's Chinese. Each agreed to contribute something: a dish, a performance, a decoration. We'd have jerk chicken tamales, biryani, and mooncakes. a Bollywood dance, a mariachi band, and a lion dance. I'd string up new lanterns, but this time they'd be joined by papel picado, fairy lights, and prayer flags. The festival would be a celebration of who we were and a giant middle finger to Karen's bigotry. I filed all the necessary HOA permits, dotting every I and crossing every T. The bylaws allowed community enhancement events with board approval. So I pitched it to the board's vice president, Priya, who despised Karen's heavy-handedness. She signed off with a grin. I rented tables, chairs, and a small stage, all within the HOA's size limits. I even got a noise permit from the city for live music until 10 p.m. The budget was steep, $3,000. But I saw it as an investment in justice. The festival was set for the next Saturday. I printed flyers and posted them around Pinewood, inviting everyone to Pinewood's first multicultural festival, Celebrate Our Diversity. I added a cheeky line, fully HOA compliant per bylaws, and 27C. Neighbors were thrilled. Kids made posters, Maria's husband built a piñata, and Aisha's daughter choreographed a dance. The buzz was electric, but I wanted Karen to feel the sting, and I ordered a 4-foot-wide sign to place in my yard during the festival, painted in bright red letters, "Culture unites us all," below. In smaller print, I listed every bylaw the festival followed. It was petty, but it felt so good. I also tipped off a local blogger who loved neighborhood drama. She promised to cover the event and maybe dig into the HOA's recent fines the morning of the festival. My yard transformed. Tables groaned under trays of food lanterns, and flags swayed in the breeze, and a small stage stood ready for performances. Neighbors poured in, bringing dishes and decorations from their own cultures. By noon, over 100 people were there, laughing, eating, dancing. The mariachi band played Kids, Whacked the Piñata, and Way's lion dance drew cheers. My new lanterns glowed brighter than ever, surrounded by symbols of a dozen cultures. Then Karen arrived. Her SUV screeched to a halt, and she stormed across my lawn, clipboard in hand, her face a mask of fury. "This is a disgrace," she yelled, waving the clipboard like a sword. "You're turning Pinewood into a circus." I stepped forward. "Calm but firm, Karen. It's all compliant. Check the permits. Priya approved it." The crowd went quiet, watching. Karen's eyes darted to the sign, and then the permits taped to a table. She was trapped. That's when the blogger Sarah stepped in with a microphone. "Ms. Baxter, care to comment on the recent vandalism in Pinewood or the fines targeting cultural displays?" Karen froze. The crowd murmured. Sarah pressed on. "I've got records of 15 fines this year, all against non-white residents. Any thoughts?" Karen's face turned purple. She muttered something about standards and fled to her SUV, peeling out as the crowd booed. The festival only got better from there. Aisha's daughter nailed her dance. Jamal's reggae playlist had everyone swaying, and my mooncakes were a hit. At 9 p.m., I took the stage and thanked everyone. "This is who we are," I said. "Not Karen's rules, but our stories, our food, our joy." The crowd roared. The fallout was swift. Sarah's blog post went viral, racking up thousands of shares. The local paper picked it up, and Karen's fines became a scandal. At the next HOA meeting, neighbors demanded a review of her actions. Priya proposed a new bylaw protecting cultural displays, and it passed. 21 Karen didn't show up. She was too busy dodging calls from reporters. Pinewood changed after that. The festival became an annual event, bigger each year. My lanterns went up every September, joined by Maria's altar, Aisha's Eid lights, and Jamal's reggae flags. Karen stayed quiet, her SUV rarely seen. Rumor had it she was selling her house. I hoped she'd learned something, but I wasn't holding my breath. One evening, as I sat in my yard under the lanterns, Jamal stopped by with a beer. "You know," he said, "you didn't just beat Karen. You made us a community." I smiled. Looking at the glowing lights, he was right. Karen tried to erase my culture, but I turned her hate into something beautiful. And every September when I light my lanterns, I know she's out there somewhere seething. That's victory enough for me. The end.